kind of want to take off my jacket for this one.
Oh,
dude, this off season was intense.
yep.
So,
Fred getting one in the back. Paul gets a double, and Pittsburgh Knights in a great position to end.
Paul with the transformation. The Pittsburgh Knights are going back to back.
That is it. Pittsburgh Knights, lightning strikes twice, and ghosts are going home.
So going into the offseason, I think it's fair to say I'm bitter from the past two worlds, or I just wanted, I don't think I was alone on this, but I just wanted to make changes in general.
Part of the reason is I think Ben kind of wanted to play jungle again, but we also just wanted to make a change for ourselves because, back-to-back second places, obviously very good, and we also won every other tournament during the year, the playoffs, and we placed first and everything like that, but we know that like the ultimate goal is to win the world championship. So getting second place back-to-back years, we kind of thought, maybe making a change to just be a little bit more consistent would be really good.
I don't think that it's fair to say that our problems were pinpointed on Ben, for example, or Twig. But I do think like a change was good, and it felt like among us that mid laners seemed to be the consensus of having the most players who we'd be interested in playing with.
I kind of knew my time had come on the Jade Dragons, or Ghost at the time. So I was just looking for people that I knew had a winning potential. And the first people I thought of was Variety and Big Man Tings, when I knew that he was an available mid laner, because playing mid against Big Man, I thought he was better than Paul, I thought he was better than Dardez, I thought he was better than basically the entire league.
I started speaking to Biggie a little bit, trying to see what was going on with him, and he basically said that it's going to be him and Big Man trying to make a team, and that they wanted Twig, jungle, and genetics. And obviously, I think at that time, Netroid just got kicked as well from Leviathans, and he also messaged Biggie asking to help him and make a team. So Biggie basically asked me to join the team, and when I seen the roster and I see Big Man and Netroid on the team, they're hard carries and they're really good players. I think that they will be a big reason why we're going to win a lot this year.
I think it was a team decision. We just don't want to keep playing with Netroid anymore. I mean, we think that he's a great player when he wants to, but most of the time he didn't want to, so we just rather try with someone that have that hunger to green and climb the game, and that guy is Julio. And the guy decided that I can play any role, so I will be playing ADC for them. So I'm fine with that, and they were fine with that too. So it was it was a team decision.
It didn't take long after Thor's hammer was raised for new teams to start forming. The Jade Dragons leave behind Captain Twig in order to pick up Heroine. Twig reunites with an old teammate in Variety and forms the Camelot Kings. And the Atlantis Leviathans drop Netroid to pick up Julio. But not every roster had it so easy. Two players who spent the vast majority of last year making life difficult for other duo lanes now started making life difficult for every roster.
basically, from the outside in, it looks like we just stuck with the old Renegades roster and then picked up Haddix. Or Harry left, picked up Haddix. But there was a lot more going on. On Sunday, we were told that we were staying together. And I think that was the Sunday after Worlds. And then Monday night, Jake calls me on Discord and says something along the lines of like, I've been getting some offers, or what do you think I should do? And I told Jake that he should do whatever's best for him.
The team wanted to stick together, and they were like, you know, let's just lock it up, you know, get some of that roster, you know, get over and done with. And I was like, you know, I think I had a pretty good year. You know, maybe I'll, you know, go see what's out there. Try to, you know, get on like a really good team or something. We went out to dinner, and I was like, hey man, like 100%, or if it was like, are you on this team 100%? And I was like, yeah. And, 100%, is it really ever 100%, Like,
Me and Daughters reached out. I DM'd Neil, he DM'd Fred, because that was our first choice. We were like, what's the best combination we could get with us? We decided it was those two. We were just thinking about other options. It was maybe asking Jake. Jake was someone we viewed as really good.
And they were like, hey, Jake, we're pretty set in stone here. Why don't we just get this 4-man going? And I was like, hey, you know what? All right.
Neil and Fred are like, yeah, we'll run it back. We want to run it back for round 3. So then it's like, okay, it's all done. We've already spoke to Jake and Scream. We're all on board with it. It should go well.
And then Tuesday, I got offered the PK spot.
We didn't want to be playing with the same ADC. Going to next season, we were looking for replacements essentially. And we had asked Netrioid. I remember he was saying he was worried about getting a spot at all in the league. And so when we approached him asking him if he would want to play with us, he had already committed to the Kings roster actually. And so the last ADC player we thought that we'd be comfortable with playing that wasn't already locked up or anything would be Bera. I thought he was a good middle ground, I guess, between Zap and Netrioid, where he still had veteranship. He would bring new ideas into the team. He was eager to win again as well. And he had obviously performed really well throughout the whole year, in my opinion, but more so shone towards the end of the split, especially in playoffs and in the World Championship for that team.
And I told my team about it, and I said I was going to consider it because I honestly did not think I was going to get an offer like this, and I think it would be crazy if I didn't at least consider it for 24 hours. So I told my teammates that I would want to think it over. Kind of scummy by me, because I did say on Sunday that we would be sticking together, but I also didn't think the 2-time world champions were offering me a spot. So yeah. And then on Wednesday, I turned down the spot. I decided to stick with the boys. I felt like it was the right thing to do for me. And I thought about it a lot, obviously. I was really nervous about it the whole time. And I just made a decision to stay with the team. And that was when they told me that they had picked Netroid anyways, and I was like, oh, let's go. Because if I had told my team that I want to join them, it makes me look really bad and kind of just throws a wrench in everything. So I was happy that I made the good decision. And then so when I got the call with all the boys, that was when Jake had told us that he had left us to join old SSG, Nika, Dardes, and Vote.
Okay, so 10 minutes before Bear said no, Nika asked me to join the team, and I was like, yeah. And then 10 minutes later, Bear said no, and then they called me, and they were like, hey man, with the team's back together, let's go, let's get it this year. And I was like, hey, hope you guys don't hate me, but I kind of said yes to Vote's team.
So I was kind of in a weird spot. Then I was a little confused, and then that's when PK got back to me and said Netroid had joined the Camelot Kings, and they were re-offering me the spot. So now we are in a spot where I'm re-offered the 2-time world champions, and Jake's no longer on the roster. And obviously, me and Jake, I think we were one of the best dual lanes last year. I think me and him have really good synergy, and I think we just played really well together. And he was one of the main reasons that I was going to stay. And that's no longer an option now.
And so we thought Barrow was going to be a great fit. And I remember he had to decide between his roster and our roster. And I remember thinking, in the back of my head that it was going to be, in my opinion, I was like, this is kind of like a bit of a lock. A little bit arrogant for sure, but I was just very hopeful as well. It being our last option that we were all satisfied with, at least that wasn't some sort of reach.
What we had decided on was getting Zap jungle, and we were going to get last support.
Wait, that was actually happening?
Yes, really. Zungle and Laporte. It looked like Rosterpocalypse should wrap up pretty cleanly from here. Bera to PK, Jake to Nika's team. But 100% isn't always 100%.
Thursday was the final decision of us going Zap jungle and last support. And that was my offer of Zap Jungle and last support versus the 2-time world champions. And in the meantime, I think there was like 4 or 5 rosters waiting on my decision.
And then I remember just before I went to bed, Scream DMs me. He's like, yeah. So Scream's other option was the Titans lineup. And then he's like, yeah, I pretty much want to play with you guys unless for some reason Barra doesn't decide to join PK and then you guys get Neil Fred. And I'm like, wait, how did you even come up with this? Like, what? It's done. Like, what are you even talking about? He's like, yeah, I'm just telling you, like, just in case. And then I wake up the next morning, I have a DM from Meerkat. Hypothetically, what would happen if Barra decides to not join? And I'm like, why is everyone bringing this up now? Why is this even in the discussion?
And I think me and Neil would have worked really well together. And I think I would have also worked well with Paul. And that's a head-scratching moment right there. You know, it's, yeah. So I kind of made the final decision to stay with the boys. Again, I turned down the 2-time champs 2 times. Yeah, I did that.
I thought that people would just be jumping on that opportunity, right, without hesitation. In my mind, I thought that that had enough stock in it that people almost, it seemed like it, not to sound cliche, but like an offer like you can't really refuse, right? That was kind of how it was put in my mind. So I remember when Netrio said no, I was kind of like I respect it. That's kind of funny to me. I was like, that's kind of crazy. But like, yeah, well, we still have other options. And I talked to Barra. When we talked to Vote briefly, he kind of says says no. And then we talked to Barra and he says no. And the only thing, like, it was so ridiculous. I think at first I almost was like in disbelief. I was like I actually can't believe this is happening right now. Like, how do you win Worlds twice? And then, like, you can't find a player to play with you. I thought that was just insane.
And then I remember that night. No, then it was 2 days of waiting for Barrett to decide. It was the longest wait ever. It was the finale of Rosterpocalypse. I see I have a DM from Neil, and it just says, "It seems the pieces of the puzzle have moved." And then at the same time, I got a DM from Daughters, Meerkat. They're like, "Yeah, like Barrett didn't join."
Because I had figured he was still like wanting to play with us, because he had said to us before, like, we were their first choice for teammates in the support and jungle slot, and he was being a bit of a guy about it, and I thought I had a bit of a laugh, but I thought it was pretty funny, especially because we had flip-flopped a little bit on that, right? We were like we weren't trying to be like, Fred and I weren't trying to be, what's a good word? Like, we weren't trying to be conniving or anything, but we just wanted to make sure that we didn't want to close any door before we knew what we were doing exactly, right? Because it was a really enticing offer.
It's what we wanted. It was a roller coaster, but eventually it worked out, so we were happy. Unfortunate for Scream, I think, mainly that like his thing fell through because of that move.
If me and Ronnie weren't playing with them, they would be playing with Moswell and Scream. So I think that's what they were originally going to go with. And so they asked me who would I want for jungle. And I know Ronnie was in the same boat as me, right? We didn't have a team. And I know me and him used to mid jungle a lot in ranked. So I'm like, maybe we can see if that'll work. And then, yeah, I don't know, it sounded like a good option.
Despite winning last year's MVP award in the last 2 World Championships, Neil Ma can't seem to find a dual lane partner. And with that, the team implodes. Cuvo and Neil to the Warriors, Paul and Scary to the Tartarus Titans. But that leaves last year's Rookie of the Year without a squad.
So I messaged Nika, and he's like, "Hey, so looks like PK disbanded, and we're gonna play with Neil and Cuvo." Which, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. I think they're a great pair, and yeah, that seems to be really good. But then I was in a tough position because Ven and Vera and Lazara, they were scrambling. They were looking for anything. So they ended up messaging Zapman, and then like Lazara was gonna play support, and then they were gonna have the Zungle. So yeah, they were yeah, I'm sure that team would have done great, but
but I have a lot of promise in us. I had a lot of promise in last support. So at midnight, we made the final decision that was going to be our roster. So at 3 in the morning, I get a Discord call, and some people on the team were having second thoughts about Zap Jungle.
Ven and the boys were very upset with Jake and what he did, fair. And I basically fought his case for probably 3 or 4 hours in the Discord call, and then he was on the team the next morning.
So then we all agreed I was going to go jungle for them. Lasbury was going support, and then the rest of the team was intact, right, with Haddix. And then it was like 4 o'clock in the morning, and we were like, okay, everyone's 100%. Everyone tell everyone, no one's looking for anything. It's a done deal 100%. And then I went to bed, woke up, and they're like, we got Jake.
And then at 3 in the morning at the Discord call, some people on the team didn't want Zap Jungle, and I was like, but we had already decided at midnight to go forward with Zap Jungle. I feel really bad because I'd given him my word. I'd given Zap my word that he was going to be my jungler.
I really got screwed over because I literally told Layers I was done. I told other teams I was done, and looking because I had a team. I went to bed. I even told my wife, I was like, I got my team, everything, and I woke up and they're like, oh, we got Jake. So that really rubbed me the wrong way. I basically just knew every team was done. There was only a couple players left looking for teams. So I hit up the next guy I thought that was the best man up, which was Layers. And then we made a team, and then that was it, we submitted.
You got any extra motivation against the Bolts this year because of that situation?
Yeah, I don't like the Bolts.
In the span of less than a week, all 8 SPL teams were formed. Off-seasons in Smite are normally very wild, but Season 8 took it to the next level. The only way to determine who came out on top is on the battleground of the gods.